welcome. Good afternoon and welcome everybody to NOVIPRO SAS webinar about SAS as an effective and modern data insight platform. We've got a lot to cover off for you today, and we've got myself and another speaker, Yvan. We'll introduce each other at the start of each of our sections. And if there are questions for either of us, please put them in the chat, and we'll answer them at near the end of the webinar. It'll make it a lot easier that way. So let's get started. Let's talk about SAS as an insight platform, a modern insight platform. One thing I want to talk about is addressing the question, of why is there a need for an analytics platform? And the reasons are actually there are many reasons. Today we are hearing a lot from all the businesses that we speak about about adopting cloud, about doing more with their data, getting more decisioning out of it, automating a lot of it, and accelerating their ability to make decisions. A lot of them want to be able to infuse that automation at every step of the way. And a couple of interesting quotes there around what the value of AI could possibly be, and the fact that so many executives and companies, they actually think that automation could be applied to almost any decision. So these are very important pieces that are driving the need for a better analytical platform. With that being said, SAS has been around for a very long time. And what we've done essentially is modernize our platform completely. We've rebuilt it, recoded it, and replatformed it. And it really falls into three main areas. And I show them here as sort of a life cycle. The first one is really around managing data. And the second one is about developing models or developing the insight. And the third piece, obviously, is how do you get that insight deployed somewhere where it's important. If you can do all this analysis but you can't deploy it somewhere, then it becomes it's sort of a futile exercise, if you will. So that's really that's the basis of how we've tried to transform the platform that we use. And in doing so, as we've gone through it and sort of modernized it, there's a bunch of things that we've done in each one of these environments. We've made it so that visualization of the data is a lot easier. We've tried to embed a lot more AI into each aspect of the life cycle. We've tried to automate as much as we can the modeling process to make it easier for a variety of users to use it. And ultimately, we've tried to do the same thing with how you operationalize it. So how you deliver the results to either an end user or to a platform or to a database or some sort of a decisioning engine. But I want to focus on three different areas as we speak about these three pillars. On the part of data, I want to talk about the data governance that we've sort of added to the platform. With respect to the modeling, I want to talk more about how the AI is sort of becoming a little bit more infused in it, and how it's very transparent and very descriptive. And for the last part, I want to talk more about the secure processes that we have around model operations. So with respect to data governance, SAS for a long time has already had many tools that deal with making better data, ensuring the quality of your data is correct for analytics or for reporting, giving you different types of tools for exploration, being able to understand when private information has to be masked or suppressed, providing some sort of lineage between the data and the reporting and the analytics. All that being said is still done in the platform today, but we've made it a little bit easier because now we have, as I said, a platform that allows many different users to go in and actually do this kind of work. And in the second part, with respect to model building and transparent and being a little bit more transparency in the AI, what we're really trying to do here is to make it easier for people to understand what is happening in the model building process. And you'll see some of this today in the demo as well. We'll talk a little bit about the natural language insights. So what we've been able to do with the model building process is infuse a lot of descriptive, not just charts and graphs that tell you what's happening with the models that you're building, but also actual natural language explanations of what's happening, what variables are more important, why they're more important, and things like that. So that's being added in the model building process. There's also something called model and interpretability that's being added, that has been added as well. Model interpretability is very, very important because it allows you to understand the effectiveness of your model across the entire observations that you have, and the entire selection of all your observations. And there's a variety of different tools that data scientists use to do this. So a lot of it has to do with different kinds of plots and graphs that can be very, very challenging sometimes to organize and create, but we put them completely out of the box in the model building process. So they come into the results for you. And you'll see that today in the demo as well. We also include some fairness assessment and bias mitigation as well. So again, when you're building models on specific data sets, sometimes you might run into the concept of the fact that the model might be a little bit biased because of some of the data that you have, whether you're looking at particular segments or so forth, or also the performance of that model as well. So you want to understand whether or not the models that you're creating are going to be fair when you're trying to use them to predict for larger groups of observations. And again, our tools are now included to be able to do this for you. So you have in the results of a model, you have instantly all these kinds of different tools at your disposal to be able to understand the models and explain them to different stakeholders, whether they're regulators or executives or your managers and things like that. So lots of great tools that are being put into the solutions that we have. The third part of the platform really deals with how we deliver the results. So again, there's a lot more that's being added here in terms of governance. So being able to manage your models, being able to understand which models are at play, which models need retuning and so forth. For that, we have something called model monitoring. This is what's allowing you to do a performance monitoring of the models, letting you know which variables might need to be either included or excluded or changed when you're redoing models. And in addition to this, we also have an entire decisioning engine for accountability. So again, when you're creating a model and you want to be able to put those decisions into use, the question is then, are you going to just use them as they are? Can you use them as they are? Or can you include business rules that you have on your own as well? And our decisioning engine allows you to do that as well with an easy to build workflow that incorporates your own business rules as well as the rules that are coming from the models as well. So those are the things that we've added that I think are very important to the model or to the platform. SAS Viya as a platform, I think three important parts of it really is that it's a full life cycle, right? It takes you everywhere from the beginning of your data right through to the decisioning part that I've just been talking about. It's also very cloud agnostic, meaning as there's a move towards towards the cloud and saving on some of the costs of compute, we've been able to redesign our platform so that it sits on pretty much any cloud instance that's out there, regardless of what it is. And again, the third part that's important is really the integration or the openness to different kinds of users. So if you're an open source coder and you like to use Python, there's ways that we can inject that, or we can allow you to use Python and still hit SAS. We can allow you to use Python in SAS. Any data scientist or any data explorer that wants to use SAS, there's different environments that you can do so, and you'll see some of that today as well. Cloud agnostic, I talked about this already. We've redesigned the platform so we can sit pretty much anywhere, and we're trying to use tools that are a little bit more open source, because typically when you're in IT, you like to use the fastest, most efficient tools. Many of them are open source, so we've now got a Kubernetes-based approach, and we've got a CI/CD type of delivery where basically any updates to any of the functions and the solutions in SAS are pushed to the solution pretty much as they happen. And this makes it incredibly powerful for users, that they don't have to bother with doing updates every year and things like that, because the platform is automatically updating those kinds of things. This is an important part of it as well, is just how we integrate everything together, including open source. You'll see this today as well in the demo. We have visual interfaces for people that are more likely to use GUIs, right? People that like graphical user interfaces, we have visual interfaces for those people, and we have them across the board. So whether you're just doing reporting, data exploring, or whether you want to build models or build decisioning engines, we have literally a platform or a visual platform for every one of those kinds of users. If you're a coder, even better, because SAS has always been a coding tool at its heart. So we still have good old-fashioned SAS code, but we also have the ability to bring in all sorts of open source code in different ways. Whether you want to use the editor of your choice and be able to hit the SAS engine, you can do that. If you want to use the SAS platform and bring your code in, you can do that as well. And we'll see a little bit of that in the demo as well. And finally, from a developing standpoint, we've made the platform more open than it's ever been. So the ability to have open APIs so that you can take the information that's coming out of the models and be able to push it to whatever platform you need. This is something that's also been built into the environment. So this is a very, very important part of the platform, and I think you'll see some of this in the demo today as well. Couple of benefits, and I'll try to keep this brief. There's only a few of them, that I want to highlight for end users. I've talked about these a bit already. It's very democratized in the sense that whatever kind of user you are, whether you're a coder or a visual user, there's something for everybody in this platform to be able to use. It covers the entire life cycle of the platform. It's very open to different coding mechanisms and so forth. It's trustworthy, as I've explained, because of the transparent AI that's now being included in it. And it's intelligent in the sense that it allows you to explore the data in different ways. Many of them automated, giving you suggestions as to what the best method of exploration or modeling might be. And you'll see that as well in the demo today as well. To IT, it's also very beneficial because SAS is very operational now, right? So it helps you put things into production much more easily because of the openness. It's governable. It's made it very easy to be governable. In the past, we used to have a variety of different interfaces that you had to learn in order to be able to manage a SAS installation. Nowadays, it's done with open source technologies. It's more cloud native. We've retooled it so that it fits nicely in the cloud. Again, the openness of the APIs is also very important to IT, and the automation is also very key to it as well. So there's lots of automation that has been built in it, and that allows you to build even more, any more sort of jobs to be able to schedule all sorts of reporting and all sorts of modeling and things like that. So you'll see some of that as well today. So those are the benefits, and now it's time to sort of show the demo. A couple of things before we show the demo. 3 things I hope you can take away from this is, number one, the ease of use. Most of the, everything you see today will be mostly stuff that's been built in the visual interfaces. So you'll see how easy it is to sort of move around and do some exploration and modeling. There's a lot of automation in there. You'll see some of the AI tools that suggest things as well. And I think with the different interfaces, you'll see that there's truly a lot of collaboration within the tool for lots of different users. So with that, I'm going to stop the PowerPoint, and then I'll get to the demo, and then I'll talk you through that. And I'm just because I have to go to another screen, I'm just going to turn my camera off because I have to talk to another screen. And let's just stop this for a second, and we'll go to the demo. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen there. So this is a recording of a demo that I've done recently, and I'm just going to play it. I'm going to sort of walk you through what's happening here as we sign into SAS. As I said, it's completely redesigned to sit in the cloud, and it opens up in a web platform. As it opens up, it basically takes you to really a home page, if you will, or the SAS landing page, where basically here you can see all the assets that that you've built. So there's a lot of things there as far as either models or dashboards, reports, everything that's sort of everything that you built is at your fingertips. You'll notice at the top there, at the top there, there's all the different capabilities, whether you're building models and so forth. If you want to share anything in this environment, it's very easy to share assets. You can do it with PDFs. You can give people different permissions and so forth. You can do this also within the platform itself. Any report that you're in, you can share. The left-hand pane here exactly shows you all the different capabilities that the SAS platform has. You'll see that there's just everything from preparing data to building models and so forth. We're going to start off essentially in the managed data environment. We're going to start off with a data set, and as we do that, I'll sort of walk you through what we're doing with that data set. But you see, there's just a variety of tools here that are at your disposal within SAS to help you start building out your projects. So if we go into managed data, this is essentially where you will control all the data sources that you have. You'll see there's folder structure in there. If you need to import any kind of data, it's as easy as clicking a couple of buttons and importing a local file, but you can also import from databases and data lakes. So we have literally connectors for every kind of database. SAS has done this for years, but we're also able to hit file systems and data lakes as well. You see them there. So being able to make a connection and connect to data has become something a little bit made a lot easier because of this platform. When you select a data set or any data asset, you can do something called the SAS information catalog. This is very important because it gives you a complete overview of a data set with a lot of information. It'll give you information about it'll give you some summary about the data, what it's finding as far as the most important variables. It's going to give you information about whether or not it's seeing, private information. It'll give you quality measures, whether or not data is skewed, whether it's complete or needs to be imputed in any way. So there's just a ton of information here about what the data set looks like and what might need work and how it might need work. From here, you can actually go create. You can go right to the preparation to the data preparation part. And in this case, you'll see that we've made it very easy to create data jobs. So all the different transformations and things that you would do to a data set can be done literally out of box here, and you'll see them there. And literally, they're just basically a click away. And what you essentially are doing is building out a job flow that will actually run, or you can schedule. In addition, here are some of the AI capabilities that you get suggestions on what might need to be done with some of the variables. So you can sort of review all those suggestions and try to understand what might be most important given your knowledge of the data. So this is a lot of powerful information here about what you can do with data, just as a start. From there, being able to explore data and build reports, these are things that SAS has been doing a long time. You can see there the absolute huge selection of charts and graphs. There's a lot of things that are customizable as well. You can build custom charts and so forth. Building out this content is as simple as dragging and dropping these kinds of objects into the environment and literally just populating the data that you have within there as well. So that's an easy thing to do as far as building reporting and so forth. But I think the more important thing that we can do in this environment is, again, some of the analytics. So there's a lot of automated tools here that allow you to understand your data. So in this case, you can do something called auto explanation, where if you've got a specific variable or a target that you want to explain, you can literally just click the auto explain button, and it will tell you a little bit about that variable, how the other variables in your data affect that variable, and also how they affect it across the different subsections of the data as well. So certain variables will be more important in certain areas than they are in other areas. And this is all being done out of the box to give you a little bit of insight as to what you might want to focus on in order to do more analysis. But again, taking the dashboarding part a little bit further, you can go directly into modeling right from this dashboard. So you can start taking that data that you've just explored and kicking off a variety of different models. And there's a variety of models that are available to you in the dashboarding environment. There's things like decision trees and logistic regressions and a few others. And you can even do a model comparison right in this project that tells you which model is the most effective based on specific statistics. And so you're getting a lot of flexibility in addition to just model dashboarding. You're getting modeling and analytics within the environment. When you're ready to be a little bit more advanced, you can kick off a project that allows you to build pipelines that are more in line with what a data science user would do. When you're doing this, you're kicking off something called Model Studio, and it's taking the model that you just built in the visual environment, and it's building out a pipeline, a data science pipeline that takes the data and applies a variety of different tools to it. You'll see there's just an absolute slew of model capability that's out of the box. In addition to that, we also have pre-built templates that you can easily call upon that will build out advanced templates as well as auto machine learning templates. The auto machine learning is important because what it's doing there is it's building out a variety of models, and it's even taking the combination of some of the outputs of the best models and creating an ensemble model there that you see in orange. This is a really powerful tool that's going to speed up the ability to create models. And basically, when you open up any of these nodes, you'll have a variety of ways that you can change the options. There's an open source capability, which I'll get to in a little bit later, but you'll see there's an open source code node there that allows you to basically drag an open source code node into the environment and then run Python or R code within that code node. And I'll show that in a little bit time as well. So these are some of the real powerful things that are coming out of the model building pipeline. And you can see there that some of the options to be able to change anything are absolutely huge. There's an auto tuning option, which is very, very important. And again, this is something that data scientists love because the auto tuning option allows you to basically run the model across a variety of values for all the parameters and select the best model. There you also see the model interpretability capabilities. This is important when you're trying to understand what the model is telling you, especially when you're doing more advanced models. So these are charts and plots that data scientists love to use to explain models. When you open up the results of a model, you'll see that all that information is there. The basic information of the parameters and so forth is there. But as you click on the top, you'll see that there's your model interpretability charts. So all the different charts that people use, whether it's a partial dependency plot or a Shapley value, the different ways that people use to explain models are given to you automatically in a nice format. And they even have natural language descriptions when you click on the down arrows. There's also the fairness and bias that I talked about in my previous slides. There's performance bias, prediction bias, talking about whether or not models will predict properly depending on the variables. So all of this is given to you out of the box in the results. So this is very, very important. And just a little bit to sort of close the loop a little bit on the open source node. There's the open source code editor. Literally, you can just kick that off when you're in that node, and you can start importing your open source code with some wrapper code around it so that it runs within SAS. So this is really, really powerful as far as how data scientists might use the environment. Again, just as I showed in the visual, there's a model comparison node that will instantly give you information about the best model that has won out in this particular example. It'll tell you why, it'll tell you the information. And in addition to that, there's also a pipeline comparison. So this is even more powerful because if you're building out a variety of different approaches to maybe solve a business issue, a business problem, you might try a variety of different pipelines. And when you do that, it would be really interesting to understand whether, not just the best model, but which pipeline actually is performing the best, and then which model within that pipeline is performing the best. So that way you get a good sense of whether your approaches, which approaches are better than others. When you're ready to register these models, again, it's one touch away, one click away. You can register a model to our model management capability. This is important because in model management, you're able to have essentially an inventory that tells you everything that you've built in your modeling framework. It'll tell you which models are currently in play, or which current models are published and are champions and so forth. And the great thing about model management as well is that it allows you to do a lot of things at the top there. As you'll see, there's things like performance tuning, scoring, and so forth. This is really, really important because when you're looking at the models, and this is just showing some of the metadata behind the models that you can actually see, but the other thing that you want to be able to see is be able to look at as you change models, there's going to be versioning, right? So being able to understand how many times you've changed the model and how many versions there are and which versions are currently in play, this is very important. It's something that data scientists have always loved, is being able to understand versions of the models that they've built. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about too is some of the performance metrics as well, being able to publish it. So again, you can publish it to any sort of environment, whether it's a database or an Azure or other cloud environment. You can do that here as well. At the click of a button, you can publish it to a particular environment, and that's what it's doing here. And as I said before, performance measurements are really, really important. As models get used over time, they may degrade because factors and things change. This kind of performance metrics will show you that. It will show you when variables are changing and the model is starting to degrade because certain variables have changed and have impacted the way the model is predicting. So performance metrics are out of the box as well. So that's giving you a lot of great information on any variable that you want in that model. So this is really, really important. And then finally, once you've built these models and you're ready to basically build a decisioning flow, we've got something called intelligent decisioning, which allows you to build more of a workflow. It's not really a modeling tool, but it's more of a workflow that says, I've got a bunch of business rules and I can apply a bunch of actions to those business rules based on not only the business rules themselves, but also based on the outcome of the model. So that's what this is doing here. It's basically giving a credit score and a decision based on either a business rule or the outcome of one of those models that's shown there. And again, these kinds of tools, these kinds of decisions can be published to any database or any cloud instance, whatever platform you need to be published, we can do so at the touch of a button as well. So we make it, and this is again done because of our open API. So we've gone from seeing the entire platform going from starting with data and then being able to go right through to modeling, exploring, building a decision, and building a model, all in the one platform, with an environment that looks very similar across all the different interfaces, and that makes it a lot easier to use. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of just how powerful the platform is. And with that, I'll hand it over to Yvan, and he's going to talk a little bit more about SAS Code, Enterprise Guide, and some of the modernization over to Viya as well with that.
2, 1, 2.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So not sure here of how far this can go. Okay, so the first part of the demo is looking at SAS 9. So this is a SAS Enterprise Guide. You can see it, I have it open right now. And you'll notice on the left side, I have access to the resources that I can work with using SAS EG. So the first one here is libraries. So if I click on libraries, you will see a collection of folders that's different data sources. So the interesting part when working with SAS EG is all the data can be put under one simple umbrella, which is libraries, and the data source can be multiple. So this could be from Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server, Postgres, IBM DB2, or just plain text files or SAS data sets. So it doesn't matter for you as a user, everything is presented under the same area. You just need to know where the data you need to work with, where they are, and you can then start working with it. In our case today, I'll just be looking at working with one library, which is right here in the middle, SAS help. I'll open this and you'll see multiple data sets available. That library is available for every SAS deployment. This is data, a fictitious data provided by SAS, and you can use it as an example to build your source code. While you're doing this and you get to the data and the results that you're looking for, you can just then change the data for your production data and you should get to what you want. I'll just minimize, and I just want to pay attention at the very bottom. I do have one last library here, which is called work. This is a temporary library where you can create data and just massage this data and work with it until you like it. And if you want, you can save it elsewhere, whether in any other of the libraries you see above, or export it on your hard drive if you want. The important part to understand is the data on the work is only available until your SAS session expires. As soon as you're out of SAS EG, the data on the work library is wiped out. So I'll just minimize that. I'll go to the second one, which is files. So under files, it's pretty much like Windows Explorer type of, so this is your personal area. So you can create the folders you want and the structure that you see fit for your needs. So in my case, I like to have an area where I have data. I save my own data there. I have another folder, I have extra SAS files. After that, I have my SAS output. So if I open that, you'll see that I have a Excel folder, obviously to save Excel spreadsheets as reports. And afterwards, at the end, I have my projects. I have there what I call Project X. So under that, I have SAS program files. So for this demo, we'll take an example as if I had a request to create a report for various managers for the organization. And by looking at the request, I decided that I'd split my task in 4 SAS programs that we see there. Let's have a look at what it looks like. The first one, called init. And by the way, I will be exposing SAS source code, but you can do everything that you'll see here with just with a point and click approach. You don't have to learn how to program with SAS. Everything can be done just using the graphical part of SAS, and you'll achieve the same results. So in this program there, I just call it init for initialize. So all I want to do is to put the options that I want to work with for this particular task. And I want to do some clearing as well. So I want my log, my output, and my results to be clear. And at the second part here, I want to create 2 variables. The important one is the second, where I will set a variable for an output folder. And you can notice here that it's called output Excel. So obviously I'll create an Excel spreadsheet. And on the last part, I want to start with a clean slate as my comment states right here. So I'm just asking to have my work library, to have all the data removed even before I start. So this is what it does. Proc is short for procedure, and it will clear my work library right from the get-go. The second program will retrieve some data. So this is where I build the data sets that I want to work with. So in this case, I want to create data from SAS help cars data set. So anybody who's a little familiar with SQL, you'll notice this is pretty common. So it's basically SQL code. So I'm using a select statement, I'm specifying the library, and I'm specifying the table or data set, if you will, and I'm putting a filter which will say, give me the origin from Europe. So this will be created under the table called Eurocars. Next, I have another proc SQL, and this one will be creating what I call muscle cars. I'll be more specific on the columns I want to add for this data set. And again, I'm applying a filter here at the bottom for horsepower greater than 250. And lastly, I have a data set that's going to show the expensive cars. I'm selecting different columns as well. And I'm putting a filter where it's going to be for invoice over 100,000. Next, create Excel. So this is where I create my report. So I will use my variable for my output directory folder, and I will create my file, which I will call montecarsdata.xlsx. And note that I'm putting my 3 data sets separately, and each of them will be under its own Excel sheet name. So I want to have all my data sets to be placed in their own tab in my output report. So this is a clearer approach. And since I did say that we'd be sharing this with several managers, each of them can go through and just click on the tab that they're more concerned with. At the end, I will create one more data set, and this one will cover the average price for vehicles by region and by type, but I will create a chart for this. So you'll see what it looks like in a minute. And lastly, I'm going to just use a little program to do a closing part of it. And you figure it out. I'm doing another procedure data sets, and I want to clear my work library, and I want no data to be left in there. So no breadcrumbs will be available there. Everything is clean. So how do I run code in SAS? So you have 2 options. You're able to just run and execute source code by clicking the little run man that you have here at the top, or just F3. Notice at the bottom that you will have a status information, and on the right side, you'll see the results of what's happening with your source code. So let's execute that. There you go. So the right side tells me that it's cleaned the work library, and at the bottom it's telling me that my program init.sas is successful. Perfect. Let's go to the next one. Creating my data. Again, at this stage I will just create 3 data sets, so I can just click my running man or press F3. The right side gives me the results. This time it's showing me the tables that I'm creating. So my Eurocars are right there, and you can browse the data at will, see if it's exactly what you want. I see here everything's from Europe, the origin, all good. Click on my muscle cars. I see my horsepower all over 250. So that was what I've put in my filter. Expensive cars. Then again, my filter worked. I have all my invoices over $100,000. So this is good. I look at the bottom and it's also successful. So I know that this has worked perfectly. I'll go to creating my report now. So this one, we've covered what it does. I just need to run it. My results are coming. And as well, as you can notice on the right side, it's telling me exactly where it saved the report. So this is where I want it to be. And I can also browse my report. So I can stretch this and have a better view of what my report looks like, but you'll have a better view in a minute. And at the bottom, again, it states my status of information for this program, which is successful. Why don't we go check my output? Go here on the left side, Excel, and there it is. So my Excel spreadsheet has been created, monthly cars data. I'll open that. It's coming up. Now pay attention to the bottom part of my spreadsheet. I wanted to have it split in 4 tabs or 4 sheets. So my Eurocars are there, my muscle cars on its own tab, expensive cars. And lastly, this is my chart that I wanted to provide. So this one will give me the average price by region and by type of vehicle. And at the end, it gives me the frequency, so the number of vehicles per type, and the average price for that vehicle. So this is exactly what I wanted to generate. So as you can see, just 4 small SAS programs and you can create easily a report that's very meaningful and shareable. Lastly, I'll just run my close, and again, it has eliminated all the temporary tables that I had in my workspace. And if I go under my libraries and I go and open my work library, you can see that my temporary data sets are there. But if I refresh and I just click above here, now they're gone. So this is easy to create data and distribute and share what you want as a result. But now this is supposed to be on a monthly basis. So I probably don't want to be running this 4 types of SAS programs every time, once a month. So I have a better opportunity here. So what I'll do is I'll create a project in SAS EG, and that's very easy to do. So if I click above on File, New, and I select Project, you'll see that my workspace now displays a process flow. And this is where I can put the objects that I want in my project. So I'll go and select all of my SAS programs, and I just need to drag and drop them in my process flow. And there you go. I could use this and I could run this as it is, but I'm not sure, and I cannot assume that all the programs will run in the order that I want them to run. So to do this, I just need to link my programs, and I just click on the first one that I want it to be the first one to start. And in the list, I have link to, and I choose the one I want it to be linked with afterwards. And I want retrieve data to follow up. Here you go. You can see the link. I select follow up with that one, link with my create my report. Then again, select my create report, and I do my link with my closing program. There you go. Now I have the order in which I want all my programs to run for this specific task. Does it work? It should be. So what about I'll clear at the bottom my status to start, and as well on the left side, I will remove my report and start anew. And again, with the project, it's the same thing. I can just click run or F3, and you'll see the display is quite recognizable. I can see every object that's created in the programs. And at the bottom, I also have the results, which everything has been successful. Let's see what we have under our output. And there you go. So it works exactly the same, and I'm able to create my report within just the click of one project. I can go further with this, and I can decide that my project, I want to put it on a schedule. So I'll first save my project. I'll just name it monthly report. And if you look above on my menu bar, I have something called schedule. And this gives me the opportunity to set my schedule. I can tell the day and time, and I can choose the options that I want this to run at. So I'll leave it at this in terms of the scheduling, and I will just show you that I've saved my project, and we have it here, monthly EGP. So there you go. So now, what is it if I'd like to move this and work with the SAS Viya environment? So let me get to SAS environment in just a sec here. So now under Viya, everything is web-based. So all the SAS products on the Viya, you'll see them using your browser. So you can customize this like you want. I can have here as a folder for all my SAS products, and I can click. So as you've seen in the first part, you have access to different SAS products. So obviously this is a case-by-case type, so it depends of your licensing. In our case now, we're only concerned with SAS Studio, which is the follow-up version of SAS EG. So I'll just go in to my SAS Studio application. I will use my SAS demo user, sign in. Assumable groups, I'll just say no. I'll just use my default access for SAS Studio. That will be fine. So the look and feel with SAS Studio is not very different from SAS EG, which we've seen under SAS 9. So at the top, I have, again, my Explorer, which looks a bit like Windows Explorer. And if I open this, I have my home folder, which is pretty much the same as file as I had previously in SAS EG. I like to have my structure pretty much the same, so everything is where I want it to be, like it used to be. So I have my data. I also have my output, and yes, my Excel output is ready. And under projects, my project X is still there, and I've uploaded my same 4 SAS programs. Before I go any further there, I'll just bring you to the libraries under SAS Viya. Again, it's a case-by-case thing, so depending of what you've got available under your SAS Viya platform, you can have more or less of the same what you see here. I want to bring your attention to the very first library. CAS user is by default a private library for all CAS user. This is in-memory data tables. So this is very fast. It's in RAM on the SAS server. So any data sets that you create under that library is in-memory data. And it's the same for every library that you see the little cloud image right here on the left side. I want to bring your attention as well that even with Viya, you still have the SAS help library available with fictitious data that you can go and practice, set up your code. When you're happy, just bring it over with your SAS product code. And the SAS work library is also still there. Let's go back to our source code. Now I'm in Viya. How do I port now this exact same code with SAS Viya? Well, it looks pretty much alike. You just need to click again, new. And this time you just need to put a flow, and there you go. I'll just minimize the bottom part. And in the same manner, you just select your program files and you just go drag and drop, and here they are. This time, all you need to do as well is just click on the first one you want and just connect your programs in the order that you wish to have. Once it's done, you just click at the very right part, you'll see arrange nodes. Programs are called a node in the SAS Viya flow. And there you go, they're all there. If I want to see what's in every node, I will stretch the bottom part. This is all customizable, by the way. I just need to click on the node, and there you go. You see my source code is pretty much all the same. All I changed is my output folder because I'm on a different platform, but that's about it. Everything is as I had in SAS 9 with SAS EG. Now, again, all I need to do is press run or F3, and I'll bring your attention to, again, on the left side, I do have my output. I'll click run. I'll let it. And you see the highlighted parts. I open my Excel part, and there's my monthly data. I double click this time because I'm in a web application, so I'll just download it. check my downloads, open my report. And there you go. Exact same report, nothing has changed. My muscle cars, expensive cars, and there's my chart. So it works exactly as I want it to. So this is pretty much it for the demo. It's not complicated. And again, don't be scared. You don't need to go through deep learning SAS programming to work with SAS, whether EG or SAS Studio. You can do everything with the point and click approach. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye now.